Case dismissed for Jed Wallace, at least for now. If you're new here, I'm Little Girl Attorney. I'm a California employment lawyer. I've been covering the Lively versus Wayfarer case, fighting misinformation that's in mainstream media. So when Lively first filed her complaint against the Wayfarer parties in December of 2024, December 31st, she did not name Jed Wallace as a defendant. She named Jed Wallace in February, on February 18th, when she amended her complaint and included Jed Wallace as a defendant. But there was a problem because courts require personal jurisdiction over defendants to oversee a case against them. And Jed Wallace had never been in New York, did not do work in New York, had no connections in New York, and for that reason moved to dismiss the complaint against him in the New York federal court. The court granted that motion, but also granted Lively an opportunity to amend her complaint to see if she can cure the deficiencies of her first amended complaint, which added Jed Wallace. She filed that, and Jed Wallace filed another motion to dismiss. So the order today has to do with the latest motion to dismiss. One of the things this order drives home is that Lively's claims are deeply rooted in harm to her reputation. Specifically, with respect to Jed Wallace, all of the harm that she complains about is harm that she perceives to have received as a result of her tarnished reputation. The judge goes on to say that Lively failed to allege enough facts to establish a conspiracy to conduct business in New York. He goes on to say that the fact that Wallace was hired by the Wayfarer parties during the premiere, which was in New York, is wholly unrelated to New York. That was the state where the premiere was. That's where he learned that his co-stars wouldn't appear near him. That's what prompted him to hire Wallace. But simply some connection to New York is insufficient for personal jurisdiction. This was not fundamentally a New York business transaction. Lively also argues that Wallace was responsible for the creation of the website to create harm to Lively in New York. The judge says that the argument seems to be that creating a website with information or statements about a New York-related subject matter and which is accessible in New York is enough to establish personal jurisdiction under 302A1. It is not. And that is because the single act of uttering a defamation is not transacting business in a state. The judge says that Lively failed to establish something more that would extend personal jurisdiction to Wallace in New York. And he underscores that the Second Amended complaint alleges that the website was designed for everyone to see, not just people in New York. The judge points out that the website simply produces information that is publicly filed. It's not interacting with people or conducting business otherwise. In any case, he cites that the Second Circuit, which is where this federal court is, has found that even interactive websites that do actively solicit contributions from visitors are insufficient to satisfy the requirements of the particular personal jurisdiction statute. And finally, Lively argues that Wayfarer's allegedly retaliatory lawsuit filed in the court as a basis for jurisdiction over Wallace. She argues that Wallace, while he wasn't a party to that suit, was aware of the act in New York in furtherance of a conspiracy, and it was done with his awareness and support. And the judge says no. He says that Wallace has not been alleged to have directed, controlled, or requested that the alleged co-conspirators file the lawsuit. Nor are the Wayfarer parties alleged to have filed the lawsuit on Wallace's behalf. If anything, it's the other way around. The complaint alleges that the Wayfarer parties utilized Wallace as their agents for purposes of the retaliatory scheme. So Wallace's own contacts with New York are insufficient, according to the judge, to constitute transacting business. There's no allegation that he had any role in the Wayfarer party's decision to file a lawsuit in New York, let alone have direction or control over that decision. The fact that the lawsuit was filed in New York was only incidental incidentally related to their involvement in the alleged conspiracy. Their alleged conduct would have been no different had the lawsuit been filed elsewhere. Long 41-page story short, the court refused to extend the personal jurisdiction long-arm statute to extend to Wallace. And so he has been dismissed from Lively's lawsuit. The court allowed her to file it in the appropriate court. Didn't say anything about her not being able to go to the proper court, which would likely be in Texas where he resides. But he says Wallace is out of here. Well, we finally closed one of the loops.